Where are you going?
Away.
Sounds like a good place to be from.
I'll show you so we get panel on.
There was a need for us to actually have good material for our students to work with. And we said, well, why don't we try to come up with some rushes ourselves and do it with a background of creating a film from scratch and go through the whole process. And see that then at the same time as a great opportunity for the master students to go through the whole process from A to Z with them and create circumstances that are extremely close to the professional circumstances.
At Griffith Film School, it's really important for us that we foster a strong connection relationship between the industry and our students, and especially at master's level, it is really important that our students do have a connection and a relationship with the outside world, meaning the industry. And I guess The Parisian, which became the script, presented a really good opportunity for that relationship to take place.
If we're going to want to do this and not delay that process too much and still do it in this academic year so that we have it ready for next academic year, was to try and look at the scripts that came to all our teachers, screenwriting teachers, in their assignments. And so they advised a number of scripts and rather, I think unanimously, they all came up with one script at a certain moment. It was Stafford's Parisian.
The inspiration for The Parisian is, it's not an adaptation, it's all from life. So everything that's in The Parisian happened to me. Like there was a Parisian, there was a girl, you know, I was 16. She did turn up and I did get in the car and drive away. The Parisian is about a man who is still struggling, really, to find love or to be at peace or to be fulfilled.
In the real world, scripts change hands all the time. One writer comes up with the idea, conceptualizes it, writes a first, second, third, fourth draft, but then it changes hands and goes to another writer. And I think in this particular instance, with The Parisian, that now became The Away, it really gave an opportunity to the students to see how that process actually takes place. It allowed the students to see how one script can become another script, and not necessarily losing its strength, but building on its positive attributes.
We then asked Charlie Strachan, the scriptwriter teacher at Griffith Film School, to write the next draft.
What we're hoping to achieve today is to have a read through the script. We're with Charlie Strachan and Charlie Strawn. He's going to help us go through it today.
Here is blank paper. We are interested, obviously, in your views, and after this meeting it is important that you actually give us some notes, what your responses are to this meeting.
As a producer, it's always been about story. I've always looked at the art of filmmaking as very much an organic process. Everybody contributes what they perceive the script to be, and then we all come together as a collaboration and we try to add to that. He's giving his attention to his daughter, and I think that's sort of central. That's one of the central premises of the whole story, is that he is looking at where to give his attention to.
I think the structure of the film was, I think, pretty intact to the original. What we did change, as I said, was probably fill in the characters, and then, of course, the dialogues that came within certain conflict matters that were there, I think, but not necessarily written out. We kind of clarified them where we thought they needed clarification.
Even if they did go to Sydney, I still think it could be about missed opportunities, because you talk about the implied conflict, and I think that ties in with Alexander's character is that he isn't confrontational. He, like, things kind of happen to him, but they're more things that he doesn't purposely go out and seek them out, or he's not determined to make them happen.
So it's outside his control?
I wouldn't say it's outside his control. I'd say he lets it be outside his control. Like, and that's why I think it's okay for them to.
Yeah, I was going to say. Well,
but at the end, he makes a decision.
From the outset, I was always under the impression that Alex had a need to find himself, to actually go searching for himself. So for me, it was a bit of a road movie, always from the outset. This guy is on a journey to discover exactly what went wrong with his life and to sort of backstep until he finds that one moment which has influenced all his decisions.
It all comes down to the way he then solves it for himself, which is going to camp with his daughter. But of course, at the end, you should know about what is not being told. Where, of course, here we don't get that yet.
Previews is pre-visualization of the film represented in 3D space. So what you do is create all of the sets and some stand-in characters and so on to represent all of the scenes that you have set up in your script. At this point, I have a shot breakdown that I can work to so that I know what the individual shots are that the director is planning for. So I set these up in 3D space with some very, very basic animation, and we can have a look and see whether or not the director's shot plan is really working. And he can, you know, experiment with some different angles and so on, different numbers of shots before you actually go out on location. So I've just received the shot breakdown of the script from Herman, the director, and we've got scene 11, interior maze room night. And I've just highlighted the shots that need to be included in this scene. We've got a very long shot of Alex who enters the room, soft lit. I read through the script first before the shot breakdown arrives and work out what locations we are going to need. I source those from 3D models from my environments library and character library. I bring in characters and environments to represent those scenes. So at this point, skipping ahead, I can show you what I prepared earlier for this brothel shot. We've got the first shot, which is the very long shot of Alex who enters in the room, soft lit, blah, blah, blah. Now notice I haven't actually done a very long shot in this case because there wasn't enough space to actually do that long shot. So I've actually done an alternative setup that I would present to the director and say, would you consider doing this as an alternative to the really long shot? If not, I'll go back and try another angle. But anyway, so Alex moves into the room. We move on to the next shot now, where there's an exchange between May and Alex. Then we cut to the next shot, again working directly from that shot breakdown. I've got a knee shot of May who adjusts a scarf draped over a bedside lamp, and the camera follows her as she moves towards Alex. So again, I've moved that towards Alex to involve him in the shot, to include him. May pauses there. There's another dialogue exchange that she moves towards him and hugs him. And then we have the final shot, again, according to what's in the shot breakdown.
So let's just look at our local guys. John Jarrett is off in Queensland. Mm-hmm. He's Sydney. Another guy, Chris Betts. He doesn't quite have the same vulnerable as this, but he has a lot of some very good strength to him. That is a notable omission. 2 secs. Do you know who Robert Colby is?
Yeah.
Well, you do know. Okay. In terms of beautiful, lovely, fun, eccentric people to work with, he's just a dream. Wonderful person.
This one is clearly the closest to the way I've seen the guy.
Great.
Just, of course, we go away from headshots and stuff like that more than anything else. But you know, he has I can see this man in the character.
So if it's like I've been through it and I'm going, I just kind of like that, as if it's like having come out of the water, but I'm actually in dry land and it's me now and this time. So if I do the same action, so if it's like that, you know.
Yeah. The end is very fine. It's just the I lost that contrast because it's if you are the uplifting one towards there, it's never the same.
Yeah.
Not today. Not today.
Can I make a suggestion? Notice when you're over here and you're doing that stuff, that when you look around, that I give you a line, and if you look back, I don't talk to you, and as soon as you look back, I give you another line.
So
do you know what I mean? So no, it's just that your eye contact with me makes me say something to you.
Okay.
If I can let you draw me in, is what I'm really trying to say. Just because you've got that enigmatic.
It's a good idea.
Okay.
Sort of thing.
Go even over the top.
Yeah. Okay.
We can always take back.
Okay.
Good.
And how's your daughter?
And my ex and her boyfriend.
How's that all going?
The same.
Well, it's never the same though. It's always better or worse.
It could get any worse.
Yeah. That is good. That's what we should have. Towards the end, I think we should go for a few versions there.
Yeah, sure.
So, the very light-hearted one is a nice one too.
Yeah.
The one where you would say, "Come on,
Can get much worse." Yeah.
So we can. I think we need to tune a few versions there, but that one's what we need. Come on, don't give me this shit.
Yeah.
That works.
And I feel like that's the connection, the fascination for Alex, like somebody that he feels understands intrinsically where he's at.
Yep.
And that's where it's the soul mate kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like the eye contact is important.
Yeah.
One of the challenges that we experienced with this particular film was the combination of joining together the forces of both the student populace and professionals in a mentoring environment. By the time the shoot rolled around, by the time we actually got to the filming, everybody was pretty well cemented. We understood, okay, these guys are coming in, they're going to teach us, and by the end of the filming, we would have a much better understanding of exactly those particular roles and how it would work on a professional set.
Away is a very special film because it's the first time here at Griffith Film School we've actually employed industry professionals to mentor, but even more than mentor, to work alongside our students as they go about their roles in a professional atmosphere. So they are being called upon to do just what an industry professional would do if they were to be working on a feature film or a short film. I think some of the greatest challenges working as a prod designer on this project have been that it's been quite an organic workflow. What we're thinking of is to actually block the light, which will be good for the DOP Tony anyway, is getting the flats in. So what we want to do is actually cut this space off from here across to actually make it, or even on an angle, just to make it like a smaller, tighter space, make it a bit more intimate as well for the brothel reception. What we're looking at doing is actually dressing these walls, leaving the pool room. George has given me these, she's used these to dress walls before, and they're actually really good for DOPs and for lighting because they capture what light you want to use, but they don't overpower the space as well.
I was asked to mentor Sarah for this project because of the nature of it. I think that it is going to be used as an educational tool. So it was to support somebody, a postgrad student who wanted to do that. It's interesting that Sarah hadn't done production design, but obviously has a really good eye and is very good at it. She's got a natural ability for design and colour and space and shape. But I'm trying not to be an ideas person. I'm trying to just facilitate hers and make suggestions to make her ideas easier to to create and to manifest?
A section of the film is actually a flashback to 1972. So we've been trying to work on colouring that is complementary to that era. And for me, that's very much beiges, mustards, oranges. Because when you think about that nostalgic footage, you know, it's typically in a film it would have a sepia wash over it. So let's get that effect without the sepia wash. There's also a Vietnamese element that's entered into the story later in the process, and so we've referenced some Vietnamese films as well. Bring in those Vietnamese elements, which are the colouring. So those beautiful greens, George and I have both been fortunate enough to be in Vietnam, and we've seen a lot of that colouring firsthand. So that's going to be a similar colour to the brothel walls. We've got May in a red dress as well. And you know, red's luckily red's quite a Vietnamese colour, so that's something that's carried over really well. I really would like to see, I want to see the lighting. I want to see the locations and the sets lit, and see it those colours come to life as something. As frustrating as this experience has been at times, I think I've learnt more from this than I have from most other things I've done. And that's largely due to Georgina Greenhill, because it's been quite lucky and quite privileged to have somebody there that will take your calls and, you know, and give you guidance, and has basically made themselves available to you as much as possible.
So whenever you have to do a big transformation, they're the most exciting, obviously, because you know what it looked like before, and then once it's finished, and you know, you get it to a stage, and then the director of photography comes in and lights it, and it takes on another life.
I do these things because I get to learn. Doing these sort of films, everybody should benefit, whether it's the most experienced person in the room, whether it's the person who has got the most to learn. And the funny part about it is, I think I've often got the most to learn from these things, because there's so many people are not inhibited by the logistics. It's always a collaborative effort of someone saying, well, why would you do something like that? And if I can't answer it myself, I say, now that's a damn fine idea, and I actually prefer your creative approach.
Don't worry, the lighting commitment was it's very, let's all get in there together. Yeah. And we need to break it up.
There's major benefits to doing something like this and working with professionals who do this day in, day out. It takes a long time to sort of understand how to work with a mentor and what to do. So if you can work on some of these productions and work with some more professional colleagues, then that might just give you a little bit of a advantage going into your future career.
That's it! Action!
As the gaffer on away, I'm in charge of the lighting direction, if you will, so I have to set up all the lights, look after electrics, everything that gets plugged in, it has to go through me first. Because it's a brothel, we've kind of mixed up colour temperatures a little bit, using normal fluoros with tungsten lighting, so it'll give the colour a little bit of green tinge to it, a little bit dirty, a little bit sickly if you want, so it'll look quite interesting on film.
This is my first time doing continuity professionally, so it has been a very interesting journey for me. The most challenging part, I say, would be the brothel scene. That's because mainly we shot the brothel scene at 3 different locations. So the exterior of the brothel, the reception of the brothel, and May's room, they are 3 different locations. And especially for May's room, we actually built that at the studio at our uni. So we got to make sure the wall, the windows, the curtains, the doors, everything else matches up all together. So that will actually give the audience an illusion that the whole thing was shot in one place, not 3 different places. It has been such a privilege to work with the director Herman and our DOP Tony. Also other, I say, professional camera operators or professional camera assistants like Jeremy and Paul. It's just because they've had so much experience before and they know what they're doing, and it's just been great to see how things done, how they do things on set.
I'm ready. Yep. Quiet, please. Time for rehearsal. Clear the set.
Being first AD on Away, firstly I was responsible for scheduling the shoot and just coordinating among all departments to make sure that everyone was happy and then it was
Pick
good.
some shots. Yep, absolutely. Can we just go first positions for that scene again, please, actors?
But Monday was probably the biggest day where we were dragging the car on the trailer behind the low loader. That was a pretty trying experience because it was the biggest day and it was the first day. It's been really a great experience watching Herman and Tony especially work, but then the other Paul and the other professional camera operators and camera crew have been great too.
Recording sound today for the low loader has been especially interesting. A lot of interesting factors to try and work with. The sound of the engine of the low loader completely different to the beautiful cars we've been using, the vintage cars. So working with the sound has been quite a challenge. So we've just tried to mic in as closely as we possibly can really and just deal with it and get some wilds, and we'll see what magic we can do at the end of it.
Filmmaking can be a very isolated process, and I think our students found that being part of the team of Away, they were able to experience what it's like making a film in the real world, and I think they also felt inspired and energized about making their own films. And what they learnt, I think, here can take to the next project, which is exactly what we want to do at master's level.
Make a wish for tomorrow and the day after that. Leave her there and make your wishes come true.
Well, it's like a radio on top of the CO set. So
There's an old radio.
Score here.
Score here.
And then when we cut to the garage, it becomes Dojo from his set.
Did it like this, but by the fact that he added the digital
Yeah,
200,
that's probably smart.
it fell away.
Yeah. So, and then
what I would like to do is break down his acting a little bit, because I think in the continuity, if you glue it nicely like we did here, I think it's overacted. For me, it's a bit over it. So I want to bring this down. Okay.
Still searching, still looking, still finding.
Yeah, and I think this should be the lead of your sequence.
Yeah.
So the narrative is this. Break it up with pieces from the other one.
Yeah, let's like
And see what happens.
If you like doing puzzles, and if you like storytelling, you know, you should enjoy editing. It's very much hands-on. It's like editing is always, I suppose, being compared to as the third part of storytelling, because you have the script writing, so you have the script process, and then you have the production process, which is like the second writing of the story, direct interpretation. But then the third writing of the story is definitely the editing. This is where the film is made. So that's exciting.
The last thing is when she comes down saying you're early. Can you even start the shot a bit later? Can you actually start the shot of her, she's already come down, and she says, "What's this?" I'm just trying to.
I'm not arriving.
I'm just trying to avoid her looking so happy.
You've always had a problem with that shot, haven't you?
She's always keeps on coming back. We'll see whether we'll give it to him or not. Yeah, so I've asked a number of people. Okay. The first one I asked is Peter, because Peter has never read the script.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that the narrative works, because after a while when you edit, you just don't have 100% control of the cognitive process anymore.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
What is, do we know that this is the older Alex and the younger Alex? For us, it's a given, but actually it's not, you know, you lose these things if you don't check it.
Yep, yep. So is he thinking that because the pool player is
around,
yeah, that it's breaking the continuity of it?
Yeah, but she is looking at...
Yeah, and she's looking in the right direction. So
Yeah, she's about to move and stand up, so it all makes sense.
no.
Maybe you can have a look if you can fiddle it so that it really is a cut with the movement of her. It's already a little bit that, but maybe you can reinforce that a bit. So we've been fiddling with it until yesterday evening, I think. Have you done anything further after I left?
No, a few little tweaks. Oh yeah, well yes, a few little audio tweaks here and there.
Okay, good.
But it's certainly not a final mix. But it's.
So this is something where we would kind of test it whether it stands for a picture lock.
I like the cuts with Robert in the garage. I thought that was all lovely. You basically, the increase of tension in that was great because there was a lot of handheld in that, and I liked all of that coming across because the music added to it, and then you had that drama and the increase.
It seems like it's too quick where he's worried that she disappears too quickly. There's no playful, like you know how they're jumping.
I guess I don't see the transition from, yeah, I've jumped in the water, that was awesome, okay, where's she?
So when he first comes up, maybe is there a shot of him coming up and then just pausing for a minute and then going...
And wondering what happened.
I thought he was like before he jumped in.
Yeah, I did too.
But in that really wide shot in May's bedroom, there's like quite a decent section of studio floor that runs right across the front.
Yeah.
Is there any way that you could like punch in a little bit, because that like almost meter of floor makes it just look like a studio shot?
It's early day to say whether this is now a complete success or not, but it's certainly been successful. If you look at the student participation, I think we had an enormous crew, and they were all actually asked just to sign up. We didn't oblige them, but they were all very happy to sign up, I think what is a success in itself is the combination to work between the professionals and the students of that level, because the professionals were very happy who participated in this, and they participated under rather difficult circumstances. You know, it was not a full fee paid job, so to say, because we were constrained by budgets. They didn't always have all the equipment that they would have wanted for it, me neither. But still, we didn't compromise on what we really wanted to achieve with the film. So, having said that, I think that is already a success in itself. That makes me say that there is actually much more in it than what we've done in this one. I think, for instance, in the future, we could see this into a yearly exercise where we could invite a director to come and make a film with our students in this kind of mixed environment, because the mixed environment makes it attractive for a director, while the students, of course, learn so much more because it's a semi-professional set. Music of Away is complex and simple at the same time. It's complex because there's a lot that needs to be said through the music. At the same time, the film is thinly layered. We don't want this to be a very baroque film, the opposite. So we want to have something that represents that inner voice that really nicely translates the inner conflict of the main character, you know, that makes him restless, and even while he works on his car, you know, we need to bring that energy, and a lot of that energy will come from the music, I think.